I'm just excited to have Rod joining us. He's here to discuss his latest book, Thank You, I'm Sorry, Tell Me More, How to Change the World with Three Sacred Phrases. Welcome, Rod, to 700 Club Canada.
Thank you, Lori. It's lovely to be with you.
Well, it's so good to see you, my friend, and this book is truly inspirational. It is a word for today. So tell me, what do you see in our culture that birthed the writing of this book?
Well, Lori, I think right now most people would agree that the world is struggling, is having problems, is having difficulties, and there's lots of views as to why this is. Some think it's political, and others think it's religious, and other people think it's marriage, and some think it's economic. My own sense is that our problem in the world right now is relational fracture. We're just really having trouble in our relationships with each other, whether it's personal or local or national or international. And the backdrop of that for me, Lori, is that there's three threads that are kind of weaving their way through the culture right now. One thread is entitlement, which to me, the best summary of the word entitlement is I deserve it. And the other thing that's weaving its way through the culture is victimization. And the phrase for me that captures that is, it's not my fault. And then the third thing that seems to be preoccupying our culture is individualism. My story matters most. And so for me, the culture of I deserve it, it's not my fault, my story matters most is really what was my biggest concern in the culture that really helped me put the book together.
Well, I think you're right on there. And I love your title, which obviously addresses these concerns. Thank you. I'm sorry. Tell me more. How can those three simple phrases literally change the world?
Well, I think you're right, Lori. Like when you first, hear these three phrases, even those of us who are parents, sometimes we're a bit preoccupied with manners with our children. We want them to say thank you. We want them to say sorry. We want them to say tell me more. But if you actually look at these cultural forces, what's the antidote to I deserve it? To me, the antidote to I deserve it is thank you.
Right.
Because thank you reflects gratitude. It doesn't reflect I deserve it or entitlement. And the victimization theme in the culture of it's not my fault, if I learn to say I'm sorry, I'm expressing remorse, which means there are times in which it is other people's fault.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's our fault, and we need to say that we're sorry. And then thirdly, the individualism of, my story matters most. When we say tell me more, really what we're doing is expressing care to others. So one of the things that's important to me as a human being, but also as a Christian, is that I don't just fight the culture or get mad at the culture or bemoan the culture, but I actually think of ways that I can function that's going to put a dent in some of those cultural messages that aren't healthy. So gratitude and remorse and care, to me, help put a dent in that culture.
Oh, that's so good, Rod. And I just love how your book's broken down into short chapters with stories and illustrations. It's so engaging. So can you just share with us like three short stories that illustrate the power of those three words?
Yeah, this is part of the book for me is just telling these short stories so people can resonate with them. So let me just tell a couple of brief ones. I used to walk into public washrooms and see toilet cleaners, and I had to come to grips with the fact that my attitude was one of entitlement. I deserve those toilets to be cleaned by those people. And so I never said thank you. And so one of the things I've learned in recent years is to make a practice in my own life that when I'm in a washroom and somebody's cleaning the toilets or cleaning the basins, that I go to them and I say, thank you for the work you're doing. I appreciate it. When it comes to I'm sorry, as a parent, one of the things that I've realized in my role as a parent is often with my daughter when there's conflict, whether she was younger or older, my mindset was one of she had to say, I'm sorry to me. But what I've learned is I need to say, I'm sorry to her sometimes, and recognizing that both of us have a responsibility in saying those things together. And thirdly, there's a homeless person in our neighborhood who sleeps under a bridge that's down the street from me. And I've always passed her, never talked to her, never got her name. And I've learned now that what I need to do is chat with her. And so we have a relationship. We chat with each other. We're on a first name basis. And I often say to her, tell me more. And I'm not now preoccupied with the poor as much as I'm preoccupied with Lily, because we're in a mutual relationship where we say, tell me more to each other.
Wow, that's so good, Rod. And I think you're so right. In this difficult time, it's a relationship issue that we're struggling with in our culture. And I've in reading your book, I know you practice it because I knew you personally, but I too have found those three phrases more active in my own life. And it's helped me navigate things in a more freeing and more loving way. So tell me, who is this book for, and what's your hope for those that read it?
Well, every author, when asked that question, Lori, says, my book is for everybody, right? But fundamentally, this book for me is two groups of people: Christians who still think that spirituality is about their relationship with God and not their relationship with other people. And so there needs to be a recognition, it seems to me, that Christians need to understand that. And secondly, I think Christians need to offer the world and the culture more from their own biblical convictions. And so for me, the book is not just for Christians understanding their spirituality, but it's also for anyone, whether they're Christian or not, to increase their gratitude, their remorse, and their care.
It's so good, Rod. I highly recommend it. I'm buying multiple copies myself to just remind myself and others in my life of the importance of this. So thank you so much for writing it. And for those of you watching who want to know more, to order Rod's book, go to 700club.ca. All the links are there. Thank you so much, Rod.
Thank you, Lori. Lovely to be with you again.